The emergency broadcast cut through space like a knife through butter. Ambassador N's three-fingered hands shook as he recorded the message for the third time. His blue skin had turned pale with fear, and his large eyes kept darting to the viewport where fires burned on the surface of his home world. This is the Republic requesting immediate assistance. We are under attack. Our colonies are burning. Please, anyone who can hear this, we need help. High Merchant N stood beside him, her ceremonial robes torn and stained with dust. She placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. Send it again. Someone must hear us. They had always been peaceful. They traded across the stars, shared their music and art with other species, and believed that diplomacy could solve any problem. They had no weapons, no warships, no soldiers. Why would they need such things when the galaxy had treaties and laws? The Marauders had shown them why. 3 days ago, the pirates had arrived in force. Dozens of ships, all armed with weapons they had only seen in history files. They wanted the trade routes, their resources, their strategic location on the edge of the outer spiral. They did not ask. They simply took. And sent the message again. The signal reached out into the void, traveling faster than light, bouncing through relay stations across known space. It carried one simple plea: help us. Halfway across the galaxy, in a quiet monitoring station orbiting Saturn, Commander Hayes was finishing her night shift when the alert came through. She sat up straight in her chair, her coffee forgotten as she read the translation. "Computer, verify source and location," she said. The AI responded in a calm voice. "Republic, Sector 794. Signal strength indicates desperation. Multiple colony worlds report active bombardment." Pulled up the tactical display. The system glowed red on her screen. She knew about the. Everyone did. They were the galaxy's favorite example of a peaceful civilization. They made beautiful music and even better trade deals. They also had no way to defend themselves. She reached for her communicator. "Hayes to command, we have a situation." Within an hour, the message had reached the desk of Fleet Admiral Mitchell on Earth. He read the report twice, then pulled up everything the military had on the Marauders. "How many ships do the pirates have?" he asked his aide. "Intelligence estimates 40 to 50 vessels, sir. Mix of cruisers and fighters. Standard pirate." Nodded slowly, and the 12 civilian transports that they tried to arm. 3 were destroyed in the first engagement. The Admiral closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about the treaties, the politics, the fact that Earth was still new to galactic society. Then he thought about defenseless people being murdered for profit. "Prep the Third Fleet for immediate deployment. Full hunter-killer configuration." His aide blinked in surprise. "Sir, the Third Fleet, that is over 50 warships for a pirate gang." "You heard me. Authorization code 7 Alpha, move now." 2 sectors away, on the Coalition station Harmony's Light, the news of Earth's deployment spread like wildfire. Grand Speaker watched the tactical reports with growing concern. "They are sending how many ships?" he asked. His assistant, a young diplomat from the Unity, checked her. "Preliminary scans indicate 53 vessels, Grand Speaker, Dreadnought-class flagship, heavy cruisers, destroyers, and carrier groups." Scales turned a worried shade of purple. "For pirates, the humans are sending a full battle fleet for pirates." "It appears so, sir." The Grand Speaker had met humans before. He found them intense, always moving, always planning. They spoke of peace but prepared for war. They smiled while calculating threat assessments. Other species found them unsettling. "Contact the Republic, warn them." "Warn them, sir, but the humans are coming to help." "That is what worries me." On the bridge of the EFS Valkyrie, Captain reviewed the deployment orders. His ship was a heavy cruiser, one of humanity's newer designs. It carried enough firepower to level a small moon, and it was just one ship in the fleet. Helm plotted jump to the system. Weapons, I want all systems hot the moment we arrive. Tell the Marines to prep for possible boarding actions." His tactical officer, a sharp-eyed woman named Lieutenant Carson, looked up from her console. "Sir, the pirates are not going to expect this level of response. We will catch them completely off guard." Smiled coldly. "That is the idea, Lieutenant. The first rule of human military doctrine, overwhelming force applied rapidly. We do not do half measures." "They might be shocked too, sir." "Better shocked and alive than polite and dead." The fleet assembled in orbit around Mars. 53 warships arranged themselves in perfect formation, their hulls dark against the red planet. Each ship ran final checks, loaded ammunition, and reviewed tactical data. In the flagship's war room, Admiral Jake addressed his commanders via. He was a tall man with gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. "Listen up. They are pacifists being slaughtered by pirates. We are going to stop that. Rules of engagement are simple. Any hostile vessel that fires on us or thee is a valid target. Any vessel that attempts to harm civilians is a priority target. Any vessel that surrenders immediately will be taken into custody. Anyone who wants to play hero and negotiate can save it for after we secure the system." Questions. Captain spoke up. "What about collateral damage, sir? The pirates might be near civilian populations." "Then we will be precise. That is why we trained. That is why we drilled. That is why we are the best. We do not miss people." Across the fleet, soldiers and officers checked their gear one last time. Human doctrine was simple and brutal: respond to threats with overwhelming force. If someone attacked the innocent, humanity would hit back 10 times harder. The Marauders had no idea what they had started. Back on the home world, and received responses to his distress call. The coalition of peaceful worlds sent their sympathies and promised aid in 3 weeks. The Merchant League offered to negotiate on this behalf. The Unity suggested filing a formal complaint. Then a new message arrived. It was short and direct. "Republic, this is Earth Fleet Command. We received your distress call. Help is coming. Estimated arrival 14 hours. Stay strong." In looked at him with confusion. "Earth, the humans, but they are so far away. How can they arrive in 14 hours?" "I do not know," and admitted. "I have heard stories about the humans. They say Earth builds warships instead of trade vessels. They say humans prepare for war even in peacetime." Surely those are just stories. In orbit above them, a captain named monitored the communications. He laughed when he heard about the human response. "Humans, those primitive apes from the backwater system, let them come. We will add their ships to our fleet." His crew laughed with him. They had raided 14 systems in the past year. No one had stopped them. No one had even tried. In exactly 14 hours, they would learn why. The Earth fleet engaged their faster-than-light drives in perfect synchronization. 53 warships vanished from Mars' orbit in a flash of blue light. They tore through space itself, crossing distances that would take civilian ships weeks. Commander Hayes watched them go from her monitoring station. She had seen Earth's military deploy before, but never like this. Never with such speed and such force. She thought about the hiding in their shelters, wondering if help would come. She thought about the laughing at their screens, confident in their power. Then she thought about what Admiral had said during a lecture she attended 2 years ago. Humanity does not start fights, but we always finish them. The countdown began. 14 hours until the fleet arrived. 14 hours until the galaxy learned that some calls for help should never be ignored. And some civilizations should never be underestimated. The alarms on every monitoring station went off at the same moment. Energy signatures so massive that the instruments struggled to measure them appeared at the edge of their system. And rushed to the display screen in the command center. His hands trembled as he tried to make sense of what he was seeing. "How many ships?" he asked the technician. The young male checked his readings 3 times before answering. Ambassador, I count 53 vessels. All of them are large, very large. Joined him at the screen. It must be a mistake. No one sends that many warships to help refugees. But it was no mistake. One by one, the human vessels dropped out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. They arranged themselves in a pattern that they did not recognize but that spoke of discipline and practice. The flagship came last. The EFS Retribution was a dreadnought-class vessel that dwarfed every other ship in the system. Its hull bristled with weapons. Its armor plating was thick enough to survive hits that would vaporize smaller craft. It positioned itself at the center of the formation like a queen on a chess board. On the bridge of the Retribution, Admiral Jake studied the tactical display. His expression was calm, almost bored. He had done this before. Scan the system. Locate all hostile vessels. Identify civilian populations and mark them as no-fire zones. Lieutenant Melissa worked quickly at her station. Sir, I have 41 ships in the system. 20 are in orbit around the home world. 15 are spread across the colony worlds. 6 are in deep space, probably acting as scouts. Civilian casualties. Estimated at 12,000 dead. Another 50,000 displaced. 3 orbital stations destroyed. Jaw tightened. Weapon status. All ships report ready, sir. Shields at maximum. Fighter squadrons are standing by for launch. The Admiral opened a channel to the entire fleet. All ships, we are now at Condition 1. Weapons free on my order. Remember your training. We are here to stop killers, not become them. Target hostile vessels only. Avoid civilian casualties. Make every shot count. Across the fleet, over 15,000 human sailors and marines prepared for battle. They checked their weapons, sealed their armor, and said quiet prayers or curses depending on their nature. On the home world, and watched as the human fleet moved into position with smooth precision. It was like watching a machine operate, each part knowing exactly what to do. They moved like one mind, whispered. A communication request came through, and accepted it with shaking hands. The human who appeared on his screen was older, with gray hair and sharp eyes that seemed to see right through him. Ambassador, and I am Admiral Jake of the Earth Fleet. We received your distress call. Your system is now under our protection. Please have all civilian vessels move to safe zones. Things are about to get loud. And found his voice. Admiral, we are grateful, but they have many ships and weapons. They have been attacking us for 3 days. I fear. I know what they have, interrupted. I also know what we have. Trust me, Ambassador, keep your people safe. We will handle the rest. The screen went dark and looked at him with wide eyes. He sounded so certain. Humans usually do, she replied. I once met a human trader who spoke with that same confidence. He promised to deliver goods through a war zone. Everyone said it was impossible. He arrived early. Opened another channel, this one broadcasting on all frequencies. Both the and the would hear it. Attention all vessels in the system. This is Admiral Jake of the Earth Fleet. To the forces, you are ordered to cease all hostile actions immediately. Power down your weapons. Prepare to be boarded and taken into custody. You have 5 minutes to comply. Any vessel that fires on human ships, civilians, or attempts to flee will be destroyed. This is your only warning. On the bridge of the flagship, Warlord listened to the message and laughed. He was a large creature with thick red scales and 4 arms, each ending in claws that had torn apart more enemies than he could count. The humans think they can order us around. Weapons, lock onto that big ship of theirs. Let us teach these apes a lesson. His second-in-command hesitated. Warlord, they have many ships. Perhaps we should. Fire. The fleet opened up with everything they had. Energy beams and missiles streaked across space toward the human formation. It was an impressive display of firepower. Not a single shot reached its target. The human ships activated their defensive systems. Point defense lasers picked off incoming missiles with casual ease. Energy shields absorbed beam weapons like they were nothing. The entire barrage achieved exactly 0 damage. On the Retribution's bridge, watched the light show with no expression. When the fire stopped, he spoke quietly. Return fire, eliminate the scouts first, then work your way to the flagship, leave ship for last, I want him to watch. The human fleet responded with terrifying efficiency. 6 destroyers broke formation and accelerated toward the scouts in deep space. The pirate ships tried to run, but they were too slow. Human weapons reached across millions of kilometers with perfect accuracy. The first scout exploded in a ball of flame. The second lost its engines and tumbled into space. The third managed to get its shields up before 3 missiles hit it and turned it into debris. In under 2 minutes, all 6 scouts were gone. Captain stood on the bridge of the EFS Valkyrie as it moved toward the pirate vessels near the home world. His tactical officer called out targets, and his weapons officer eliminated them with smooth precision. Target the cruiser on the left, full salvo. The Valkyrie fired 6 missiles and 4 particle beams at once. The cruiser's shields lasted exactly 2 seconds before collapsing. The pirate ship broke apart, its hull breached in a dozen places. Next target, said calmly. Around him, his crew worked with practiced efficiency. They had trained for this. They had run simulations. They had studied every possible scenario. This was not chaos to them. This was Tuesday. On the home world, civilians emerged from their shelters to watch the battle. The sky lit up with weapons fire and explosions, but all the dying was happening far above them. The humans were not missing. Every shot hit exactly what it was aimed at. Look, one young pointed upward. Those small craft, what are they? Human fighter squadrons had launched from their carriers. The pilots inside were some of Earth's best, men and women who had spent thousands of hours flying. They moved through space like birds through air, dodging and weaving, each one supporting the others. Lieutenant Brandon Cole led his squadron toward a group of fighters that were harassing a civilian transport. His voice came through the comm system clear and steady. Dragon Squadron, weapons free, protect that transport. Do not let a single pirate through. The human fighters engaged, though with devastating effect. The pirates flew in loose formation, each one trying to be a hero. The humans flew as a unit, covering each other, setting up perfect attack runs, communicating constantly. Within minutes, the fighters were gone. The transport was safe. Warlord watched his fleet fall apart around him. Ships that had terrorized a dozen systems were being destroyed like toys. His warriors, veterans of countless raids, were dying without landing a single hit. All ships retreat, jump out of the system now. But the humans had planned for that. The moment the vessels tried to activate their faster-than-light drives, they found themselves jammed. Human electronic warfare was a century ahead of anything the pirates had. "We cannot jump," his navigator screamed. "They are blocking us." Watch the pirates realize they were trapped. His voice was cold when he spoke. "Captain, your target is the flagship. Disable their engines but leave them alive. I want prisoners to stand trial." Deep in the formation, a ship that had been invisible suddenly appeared. The EFS Shadow Strike was a stealth destroyer, and Captain had been positioning herself for the perfect shot this entire time. "Firing," she said simply. Her weapons officer launched a spread of smart missiles that curved around friendly ships and struck this engine section with surgical precision. The flagship shuddered and went dark. Looked around his bridge in horror. Half his displays were offline. His weapons would not respond. His engines were gone. "This is impossible," he whispered. "We had 40 ships, we had weapons, we had experience." His second-in-command stared at the tactical display, where human vessels moved in perfect coordination. eliminating the fleet piece by piece. "Warlord, I do not think they are just soldiers. I think they are hunters, and we are the prey." And watched from his command center as the battle reached its conclusion. In less than 2 hours, the fleet had been reduced to wreckage. Some ships had been destroyed. Others floated dead in space, their crews waiting to be captured. A few had managed to surrender and were being boarded by human marines. The human fleet had not lost a single vessel, and could not even confirm that they had taken damage. "Are they gods?" a young technician asked. "No," In answered quietly. "They are something perhaps more frightening. They are humans who came prepared." Admiral's voice came through on the general frequency again. "Ambassador N, the system is secure. We are beginning recovery operations. Medical teams and engineers are being deployed to your damaged stations. The pirates are in custody. You are safe now." And tried to find words. "Admiral, I do not know how to thank you. We expected maybe a few ships to help us evacuate. Instead, you brought an entire fleet." "Someone hurt innocents, Ambassador. That is all the reason we needed. We will stay in system until you are confident the threat is gone. Out." As the human fleet began organizing relief efforts, the people slowly emerged from their shelters. They looked up at the sky where human warships now patrolled, and they felt something they had not felt in 3 days. Hope. But mixed with that hope was a new emotion, a realization that they had called for help and received an answer they did not fully understand. The humans had not negotiated. They had not debated. They had not hesitated. They had simply arrived and won. Across the galaxy, other civilizations monitored the battle through long-range sensors and intercepted communications. Word spread quickly. Earth had deployed a full battle fleet against pirates. The fighting had lasted less than 2 hours. Human casualties were 0. In the coalition chamber on Harmony's Light, Grand Speaker received the final report. He read it 3 times, hoping the numbers would change. 53 human ships defeated 41 pirate vessels in 117 minutes with 0 losses, he said aloud. Either our intelligence was very wrong about or we have been very wrong about the humans. His assistant said nothing. There was nothing to say. The numbers spoke for themselves. Earth had just announced to the galaxy that it was not to be trifled with, and they had done it while saving innocent lives. The question now was what would happen next. Commander Blake studied the tactical map in his ready room aboard the EFS Predator. His ship was a heavy cruiser designed specifically for search and destroy operations. Around him were 7 other vessels, all part of his hunter-killer group designated Wolf Pack 3. "All right, people, listen up," he said over the group communication channel. "We have confirmation that 15 ships scattered when the main battle started. They are hiding in the asteroid belt and outer system. Our job is to find them and eliminate them before they can regroup or escape." Captain Martin of the destroyer EFS Ranger spoke up. "Do we take prisoners, sir?" "If they surrender immediately, yes. If they fire on us or try to run, no. Admiral's orders are clear. These pirates had 3 days to leave. They chose to stay and kill civilians. We are done being nice." The hunter-killer group moved out in a coordinated pattern. Each ship had specific search zones. They used active sensors, passive listening, heat detection, and even gravitational anomaly scanners. There was nowhere to hide in space when humans were hunting. Lieutenant Melissa coordinated the search from the Retribution's tactical center. She watched as multiple contacts appeared on her screens. "Wolf Pack 3, I have 3 thermal signatures in Sector 94. They are trying to mask their heat output, but they are not good at it." Blake's voice came back confident. "Copy that, moving to intercept." The 3 ships thought they were safe among the asteroids. They had powered down most of their systems and drifted silently. It was an old pirate trick that had worked against other species. It did not work against humans. The EFS Predator appeared from behind a large asteroid, its weapons already locked on target. The pirate ships barely had time to register the contact before Blake gave the order. Fire! The first ship exploded before it could raise shields. The second managed to activate its weapon, but was struck by missiles from 3 different directions. The third tried to surrender but had waited 1 second too long. Blake did not believe in second chances for those who hurt innocents. In another part of the system, Captain guided her stealth destroyer through a debris field. The EFS Shadow Strike was practically invisible when it wanted to be. Its hull was coated with materials that absorbed sensor beams. Its engines ran cold. Even its life support was designed to minimize detectable signatures. She had been hunting the same target for 30 minutes. A heavy cruiser that had managed to slip away during the main battle knew the ship was here somewhere. She just had to be patient. "Captain, I have a faint energy spike at bearing 270, her sensor officer reported. "Show me." The display showed a small power signature hidden near a dense cluster of asteroids. It could have been a natural phenomenon, but had learned to trust her instincts. "All hands battle stations. Weapons prepare a firing solution. Helm take us in slow and quiet." The shadow strike drifted closer, waited until she could see the ship with her own eyes. It was tucked into a crater on a large asteroid, trying to use the rock as cover. "Weapons locked," her tactical officer announced. "Fire everything." The stealth destroyer unleashed a full spread of missiles and energy weapons. The cruiser never knew what hit it. Its shields failed in seconds. Its hull ruptured. Atmosphere vented into space along with the crew. Felt no satisfaction. These pirates had murdered 12,000 civilians. As far as she was concerned, this was justice. High above the homeworld, Lieutenant Brandon Cole led Dragon Squadron on a patrol route. They had been flying for 4 hours straight, checking every orbital station and civilian transport for threats. "Dragon Lead, this is Dragon 6. I have a contact trying to hide behind the moon. Small ship, could be a fighter or a scout." Cole checked his displays. "Copy that 6, 3 and 4 with me. Everyone else maintain patrol pattern." The 4 human fighters accelerated toward the moon. They spread out, approaching from different angles to eliminate any escape route. As they cleared the horizon, they spotted the fighter trying to power up its engines. "Target is hostile, weapons free." The 4 human pilots fired in perfect synchronization. The pilot was good, managing to dodge the first salvo, but there was no dodging the second. The pirate fighter came apart in a flash of orange flame. Cole did not celebrate. He had lost count of how many enemy fighters he had eliminated today. Each one was another pirate who would never hurt anyone again. "Return to patrol, stay sharp people, there might be more." On the ground, civilians watched the human fighters streak across their sky. Some felt safe for the first time in days. Others felt a different emotion. Fear. Not fear of the anymore. Fear of the humans who fought with such cold efficiency. Every movement precise, every shot deadly. No hesitation, no mercy. Stood on a balcony overlooking the capital city. Fires still burned in the distance from the attacks, but human rescue teams were already working to put them out. She watched as a human transport landed in the city square and dozens of soldiers emerged. But these soldiers were not carrying weapons. They carried medical supplies, food, water, and tools for rebuilding. A human woman approached her. She wore the uniform of a medical officer and had kind eyes that seemed out of place on someone from such a warrior species. "Hi, Merchant Inn. I am Lieutenant Amy Parker, Earth Fleet Medical Corps. We are here to help with your wounded." Blinked in surprise. "You are a doctor?" "Yes, ma'am. I have a team of 30 medics with me. We brought supplies and equipment. We can set up a field hospital within the hour." "But you are human. You are a warrior species. I saw what your fleet did to the pirates." Amy smiled gently. "Ma'am, humans are complicated. Yes, we are good at war, but we are also good at healing. Both are necessary. Now please show me where your wounded are." As Amy walked away within, more human transports landed across the world. Engineers began repairing damaged infrastructure. Supply officers distributed food and water. Communications specialists helped restore the planetary network. The humans who had just destroyed an entire pirate fleet were now working to save every life they could. Back in space, Commander Blake's hunter-killer group had eliminated 8 more pirate vessels. They were closing in on the last few when his sensor officer detected something unusual. "Sir, I am picking up a distress signal. It is coming from a small ship near the outer system boundary." "No, sir. It is a civilian transport. Looks like it was damaged and drifted out here during the attacks." Blake did not hesitate. "All ships, new priority. We have civilians in distress. Predator and Ranger will respond. The rest of you continue the hunt." The EFS Predator and EFS Ranger changed course and accelerated toward the signal. They found a small transport ship with its engines dead and life support failing. 12 families were on board, including children. Blake opened a channel. "This is Commander Blake of Earth Fleet. We are here to help. Do not be afraid. We are getting you out." The relief in the captain's voice was obvious. "Thank you. Our children are running out of air. We thought no one would find us." "We found you. Stand by for boarding. My people will transfer you to safety." Human Marines boarded the transport with rescue equipment. They worked quickly but carefully, treating the frightened with gentleness. Children who had been crying moments before were now being carried by large human soldiers who spoke in soft voices and made sure they stayed warm. One young girl looked up at the Marine carrying her. "Are you the bad humans or the good humans?" The Marine, a man named Corporal Danny Foster, smiled behind his helmet. "We are the good humans, little one. We protect people who cannot protect themselves." "You are very big and scary." "I know, but only to bad people. To good people like you, we are just big, not scary." Admiral received reports from all across the system. The hunter-killer groups were systematically eliminating the remaining pirates. Medical teams were saving lives. Engineers were rebuilding critical infrastructure. Everything was going according to plan. "Admiral, we have a situation," his communications officer announced. "What kind of situation?" "Sir, 3 more ships just arrived in system. They are broadcasting coalition identification codes. They are asking to speak with you." Frowned, put them on screen. The coalition ships were small diplomatic vessels. The lead ship's captain appeared on the screen, a named Kalzev. "Admiral, we are here on behalf of the Coalition of Peaceful Worlds. We would like to discuss the situation here." "The situation is resolved," said bluntly. "The pirates are eliminated or in custody. They are safe." "Yes, well, that is actually what we wanted to discuss. Your response was rather, how should I put this, overwhelming." His expression hardened. 12,000 civilians died while the coalition was filing paperwork and sending sympathies. I do not consider saving lives overwhelming. I consider it necessary. The coalition has procedures for situations like this. There are diplomatic channels, negotiations, peacekeeping forces. And in 3 weeks when your peacekeepers arrived, how many more would be dead? 20,000, 50,000. We do not negotiate with murderers, Captain. We stop them. Kalzev looked uncomfortable. Nevertheless, the coalition is concerned about Earth's military presence in this region. Your fleet is rather intimidating. Good. Maybe the next group of pirates will think twice before attacking defenseless people. Now, if you will excuse me, I have relief operations to coordinate. Out. He cut the communication before the coalition captain could respond. His first officer, a woman named Commander Lisa Brooks, smiled slightly. That was diplomatic, sir. I am a soldier, not a diplomat. The politicians can smooth things over later. Right now, I have a job to do. As the human fleet completed its operations, word continued to spread across the galaxy. The story was the same everywhere. Earth had responded to a distress call with overwhelming force and won a complete victory in hours. Some civilizations praised the response. Others worried about human military power. Still others began to wonder if having Earth as a friend might not be such a bad idea. On the flagship, Warlord sat in his chair surrounded by human marines. His crew had surrendered without a fight once the humans boarded. He watched through a viewport as his fleet was rounded up and processed. "I do not understand," he said to the Marine commander. "Why did you come? They are not your allies, they have nothing you want." The Marine commander, Major Kate Wilson, looked at him with cold eyes. "They called for help. That is all we needed to know. Humans do not abandon those in need. But the cost, the resources, the risk, it makes no sense." "It makes perfect sense to us. You hurt innocent people. We stopped you. It is simple." Shook his head. "My species values strength and profit. Yours values protection and sacrifice. I think I finally understand why the galaxy fears you. You are not predictable. You do not act like rational beings." "We act like humans," Kate said, "and you would do well to remember that." As the sun set on the home world and stood on the same balcony where he had recorded his desperate pleas for help, now he watched human ships in orbit, their running lights bright against the stars. Amy Parker joined him, her medical work done for the day. "Beautiful view," she said. "Lieutenant, may I ask you something?" "Of course." "Why did your people come, truly? We are not your allies, we have no treaty, we are strangers to you." Amy was quiet for a moment. "Ambassador, humans believe that some things are more important than treaties or politics. When someone calls for help, you answer. When innocents are in danger, you protect them. It is who we are. Even at great cost. Especially at great cost. That is what makes it worth doing." And looked up at the human ships and realized something. His people had called for help expecting mercy. Instead, they had received justice. And perhaps in a dangerous galaxy, that was exactly what they needed. 3 days after the battle, Admiral Jake sat across from the High Council in their reconstructed chamber. The room had been damaged during the attacks, but human engineers had worked around the clock to repair it. The council members looked tired but alive. That was what mattered. "Admiral," and began carefully, "we owe you a debt we can never repay. You saved our civilization." Shook his head. "You owe us nothing, Ambassador. We did what any decent civilization should do. You were in trouble, we helped." High Merchant leaned forward. "But the cost to your fleet, the resources, the time. Surely Earth expects something in return." "We expect you to rebuild and live in peace. That is all." The council members exchanged confused glances. This was not how galactic politics worked. Every species expected payment for services rendered. Resources, trade agreements, territory, something. Counselor, an older with silver skin, spoke with suspicion in his voice. "Admiral, forgive me, but I have studied many species. None provide military assistance without expecting compensation. What is Earth's true goal here?" Met his gaze steadily. "Counselor, humans have a saying. We judge people not by what they do when everyone is watching, but by what they do when no one is. You called for help. We answered. There is no hidden agenda." "But your fleet," insisted. "You brought 53 warships to fight 40 pirates. That is excessive force. It speaks to ulterior motives." The Admiral's expression hardened slightly. "Counselor, when my daughter was 8 years old, she fell through ice while skating. I did not carefully calculate the exact amount of effort needed to save her. I did everything possible. That is what you do for people who need help. You do not do the minimum. You do the maximum." The room fell silent, sat back in his chair, his suspicion fatting. Captain Sanders, Earth's diplomatic liaison, stepped forward. She was a calm woman with diplomatic training and military experience, the perfect person to help aliens understand human thinking. "Council members, let me explain human military philosophy," she said. "We believe in peace through strength. We do not seek conflict. But when conflict finds us or finds innocents we can protect, we respond with overwhelming force. Not because we enjoy war, but because we want it to end quickly with minimal loss of life." "Minimal loss of life?" questioned. "Your forces destroyed over 30 pirate vessels completely." "Yes," replied without hesitation. 30 pirate vessels, 0 civilian casualties from our actions. We were precise, we were careful, and we were effective. Would you prefer we sent 3 ships and stretched the battle out for weeks while more of your people died?" In raised a hand. "Lieutenant Sanders, I think I understand, but you must also understand our confusion. We are a peaceful people. We solve problems with words. You solve them with weapons. It frightens us." "As it should," said honestly. "Military power should frighten people. It keeps them careful. But what should matter more is how that power is used. We did not conquer your world. We did not demand payment. We saved lives and now we are leaving." Leaving, and asked with surprise, "But the might return?" Admiral stood. "Ambassador, we are leaving a small defense squadron here for 3 months, 4 ships and a marine detachment. During that time, we will help you establish a basic defense force, not to make you warriors, but to give you the ability to protect yourselves until help arrives. We will also provide early warning systems so you can detect threats before they arrive." "You would teach us to fight?" asked with distaste. "We would teach you to defend," corrected. "There is a difference. You do not need to become soldiers, but you do need to be able to lock your doors and call for help before the thieves get inside." The council went silent again. They had never considered such things. For generations, they had relied on treaties and diplomacy. They had shown them how useless those were against those who did not care about such things. Outside the council chamber, human and worked side by side in the streets. The contrast was striking. Humans in armor standing watch while children played nearby. Human engineers showing technicians how to repair damaged buildings. Human doctors training healers in emergency medicine. Lieutenant Amy Parker ran a mobile medical clinic in the capital city. She had seen hundreds of patients over the past 3 days. Most had minor injuries, but some were more serious. She worked without rest, driven by the knowledge that every life saved mattered. A young male entered her clinic carrying his injured daughter. The girl had been trapped under debris for 2 days before being found. "Please," the father begged, "please save her." Amy took the girl gently and laid her on the examination table. The injuries were severe. Broken bones, internal bleeding, severe dehydration. It would take hours of surgery, and there were no guarantees. "I will do everything I can," Amy promised. "I need you to trust me." 6 hours later, the girl was stable. Amy emerged from surgery exhausted but smiling. The father collapsed in relief. "Thank you," he said through tears. "Thank you. I thought humans only knew how to destroy." Amy sat beside him. "Humans know how to do many things. We fight when we must. We heal when we can. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. Your daughter is strong. She will recover." "Why?" the father asked. "Why do you care so much about us? We are strangers." "Because she is a child," Amy said simply. "And every child deserves a chance to grow up. That is reason enough." On the orbital station above the planet, Commander Blake supervised the processing of prisoners. Over 400 pirates had survived and surrendered. Now they sat in holding cells, waiting to be transported to stand trial. Warlord was kept separate from the others. Blake visited him to discuss what would happen next. "You will be tried according to galactic law," Blake explained. "The evidence against you is overwhelming. You attacked civilian targets, killed thousands of innocents, and refused to surrender when given the chance. The penalty is life imprisonment at minimum. Looked at him with something like respect. You humans are strange. You treat us with fairness even after we hurt your allies. They are not our allies. They are people who needed help. Exactly, why do you care? Blake thought about how to explain it. Warlord, humans have a long history. We have fought countless wars, committed terrible crimes, and hurt each other in ways you cannot imagine. But we learned something from all that pain. We learned that the strong have a responsibility to protect the weak, not because we gain something from it, but because it is right. Right, repeated the word like it was foreign. My species does not think in terms of right and wrong, only strong and weak. I know that is why you lost. Back on the planet and walked through the city with Admiral. The human towered over him, but his presence was strangely comforting rather than threatening. Admiral, may I ask a personal question? Go ahead. Do you enjoy war? Stopped walking and looked down at the ambassador. No, I hate it. Every soldier I lose is someone's child, someone's parent, someone's friend. Every battle costs something precious. But I do what I do because someone has to. Evil exists in the galaxy, ambassador, and those who are capable of stopping it have a duty to do so. But the cost to your people, to your soul, is worth it if innocents live to see another day. My burden is light compared to what your people suffered. They continued walking in silence until they reached a memorial that had erected for those who died. 12,000 names carved into stone, and touched one name gently. My nephew, he said quietly. He was a teacher. He loved music and art. They killed him because he would not tell them where children were hiding. Placed a hand on the ambassador's shoulder. He was a hero. He saved lives with his courage. I wish we had more warriors like your people. Maybe then he would still be alive. Ambassador, you do not need warriors. You need allies. And now you have them. Earth will remember what happened here. If you ever call for help again, we will come. Why? We have nothing to offer you. You offered us a chance to do the right thing. That is worth more than any payment. In the command center of the EFS Retribution, Captain Sanders prepared her report to Earth Command. She had compiled extensive notes on their culture, their needs, and their potential. They are genuinely peaceful, she wrote. Not weak, but philosophical, opposed to violence. This makes them vulnerable in a galaxy where not everyone shares their values. However, they are quick learners and grateful for assistance. Recommendation: establish formal diplomatic relations and include them in Earth's growing network of protected civilizations. She paused and added one more line. Warning: other galactic powers are watching our actions here. The Coalition is nervous. The Merchant League is calculating. The Empire is angry that we destroyed one of their pirate fleets. We need to be prepared for political fallout. Across the galaxy, in the chambers of the Coalition of Peaceful Worlds, an emergency session was. Representatives from dozens of species debated what Earth's actions meant. They deployed a battle fleet for pirates, one delegate shouted. What will they deploy for actual threats? They saved 12,000 lives, another argued. When was the last time the Coalition saved anyone? Grand Speaker tried to maintain order. The question is not whether Earth did good or bad. The question is what their military capability means for galactic balance. They are dangerous, a third delegate said. No species should have that much military power. Then maybe we should have more, someone else countered. They called us for help first. We did nothing. Earth acted. If I were in trouble, I know who I would rather call. The debate continued for hours with no resolution. Earth had changed the equation. The galaxy would have to adapt. On the home world, the first sunset after the battle was celebrated as Liberation Day. Families gathered in the streets, lit candles, and sang traditional songs of peace. But now those songs had new verses. One's about warriors from distant Earth who came when called. In stood with Lieutenant Amy Parker, watching the celebration. Your people gave us our lives back. Your people called for help. That took courage too. What happens now? You leave and we go back to normal. Amy shook her head. Nothing goes back to normal after something like this. You will rebuild. You will remember. And you will be stronger for it. Not because you learned to fight, but because you learned that there are those who will fight for you. And if we call again, we will answer. That is what humans do. High above them, the human fleet prepared to depart. 4 ships would remain as promised. The rest would return to their duties. As the massive vessels powered up their engines, every on the planet looked up to watch. Admiral stood on his bridge and gave the order, "Take us home." The fleet vanished in flashes of blue light, returning to Earth space, but the impact of what they had done remained. Across the galaxy, civilizations were making calculations. Some saw Earth as a threat. Others saw them as protectors. All of them recognized that humanity was now a force to be reckoned with. And for the huddled around their candles and singing their songs, they knew one simple truth. They had called into the darkness for help, and humanity had answered with fire and fury and then, surprisingly, with gentleness and compassion. They would never forget either one. 3 months after the Battle of Ambassador and stood in the Earth Senate building in Geneva. The massive chamber held representatives from every nation on Earth, all waiting to hear him speak. He had never been so nervous in his life. Senator, Earth's representative for interstellar affairs, introduced him with a warm smile. "Colleagues, please welcome Ambassador and of the Republic," and approached the podium on shaking legs. He looked out at thousands of human faces and reminded himself that these were the same people who had saved his civilization. "Honored senators," he began, his voice carried by translators across the chamber. "3 months ago my people faced extinction. We sent a desperate call into space, not knowing if anyone would answer. Earth answered, not with words or promises, but with action. You sent your finest warriors. You saved our lives. And then, most surprisingly, you asked for nothing in return." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "In my culture, we have a saying. The truest measure of a person is what they do when there is no reward. By that measure, humanity has proven itself to be exceptional. Today, the Republic requests formal alliance with Earth. We offer our friendship, our trade, our knowledge, and most importantly, our trust." The chamber erupted in applause. Senator stood and shook his hand. "Ambassador, Earth accepts your offer of friendship. We look forward to a long and peaceful partnership." As the ceremony continued, Grand Arbiter is of the Galactic Coalition watched through a live feed from his ship in orbit. The tall, elegant alien had come to Earth to discuss humanity's growing influence. He did not look pleased. "They are forming alliances," he said to his aide, "building a network of protected species. In 6 months, Earth has gone from unknown to galactic power." His aide, a young diplomat, nodded. "Should we be concerned, Grand Arbiter?" "Concerned? We should be terrified. Not because humans are aggressive, but because they are effective. Every species they help becomes loyal to them. Every threat they eliminate makes others grateful. They are building an empire without conquest. Is that not preferable to traditional empire building?" Is side, perhaps, but it changes everything. The coalition has maintained peace through diplomacy and patience. Earth maintains peace through strength and action. Which philosophy will the galaxy follow? On Earth, Admiral Jake was visiting the training facility where defense officers were learning from human instructors. They were not natural warriors, but they were dedicated students. Captain oversaw the program. He walked through the facility, explaining their approach. "We are not trying to make them into Marines," said. "We are teaching them situational awareness, basic defensive tactics, and how to use early warning systems effectively. The goal is to buy them time to call for help." "How are they doing?" Better than expected. They are quick learners and highly motivated. No one wants to be helpless again. They watched as a group of practiced boarding defense. The exercises were basic, but the students were focused and determined. One young officer named approached with a salute. He had learned the gesture from his human instructors and performed it with pride. "Admiral, may I ask a question?" "Of course." "Why does Earth teach us these things? You could keep your knowledge secret and maintain advantage over others." Smiled. "Officer, strength is not a limited resource. Your civilization being safe does not make Earth weaker. It makes the galaxy better. Besides, we are not training you to fight us. We are training you to survive until we can arrive. You believe you will always come. If you call, we will answer. That is a promise." Across the galaxy, the effects of Earth's intervention continued to spread. Piracy rates dropped by 40% in sectors near human space. Species that had never met humans began requesting information about Earth's protection policies. Some civilizations worried about human expansion. Others welcomed it. On the coalition station Harmony's Light, Grand Arbiter is met with Senator in a neutral conference room. The meeting was tense from the start. "Senator, the coalition is concerned about Earth's military activities," is began. Raised an eyebrow. "Concerned? We are stopping pirates and saving lives. What concerns you about that?" "The scale of your response. The situation required perhaps 10 ships. You sent 50. This pattern continues. Last week you deployed 30 vessels to protect a mining colony from raiders. 15 would have been sufficient." Grand Arbiter, when my children are in danger, I do not send sufficient help. I send overwhelming help. That is what we do for anyone under our protection. But you are not the galaxy's police force. Leaned forward. Then who is the coalition? Where were you when they called for help? You were filing reports and scheduling committee meetings. While you debated, they died. Is his skin flushed with anger? The coalition has procedures, systems that have maintained peace for centuries. Systems that allow the strong to prey on the weak. We are offering an alternative. An alternative that concentrates military power in human hands. "We did not ask for this responsibility," said quietly. "We are not seeking to rule anyone. But when people call for help and no one else answers, what do you expect us to do? Ignore them?" The Grand Arbiter had no response to that. The truth was uncomfortable. Earth was doing what the coalition had failed to do for generations. Back on the home world, life slowly returned to normal. The cities were rebuilt. The wounded had healed. The dead were remembered, but they were not the same people they had been before. High Merchant met with Ambassador in her office. She had news to share. 5 more civilizations have contacted us, she said. They want to know about our alliance with Earth. They want protection too. What did you tell them? The truth, that humans are fierce warriors but also compassionate protectors, that they ask for nothing but offer everything, that we sleep safely now because Earth watches over us. I nodded. The galaxy is changing in. Species are learning that peace requires more than good intentions. It requires strength and the will to use it. Do you think that is good or bad? I think it is necessary. They showed us that evil exists. Humanity showed us that evil can be stopped. Both lessons were important. On Earth, in a military command center, Commander Hayes analyzed intelligence reports from across the galaxy. She had been promoted after her quick response to the distress signal. Now she coordinated Earth's monitoring network. "Captain, we have another situation," she called to her supervisor. Captain approached her station. "What do we have?" "Distress call from the Union. They are under attack by slavers. Multiple ships heavily armed. They are requesting assistance." Did not hesitate. "Forward to Fleet Command with Priority 1 status. How many ships do we have in range?" "The 5th Fleet is 3 light-years away, 22 vessels." That should be sufficient. Prep them for immediate deployment. Processed the orders and watched as another Earth fleet jumped to faster than light, racing to answer another call for help. It had become routine now. Someone called, Earth answered. On the bridge of the EFS Retribution, Admiral received the deployment orders for another mission. His ship had returned from the system and was now being sent to help the Union. Again, his first officer asked with a tired smile. Again, confirmed, plot a course, maximum speed, someone needs help. The crew moved with practiced efficiency. They had done this 4 times in 3 months. Each time was different, but the purpose was the same: protect those who could not protect themselves. Lieutenant Melissa pulled up information on the Union. Sir, they are an industrial civilization. 7 billion people across 4 worlds. They have minimal defense forces. The slavers have been raiding them for weeks. Not anymore, they have not, said grimly. All hands battle stations. We are going to show these slavers what happens when they hurt innocents. Across the galaxy, other civilizations watched Earth's growing reputation with mixed emotions. The Merchant League saw opportunity for trade. The Unity saw a potential ally. The Empire, still angry about their destroyed pirate fleet, plotted revenge. But most species simply felt relief. For the first time in galactic history, there was a civilization that would actually respond when you called for help. Not eventually, not maybe, but immediately and with overwhelming force. 6 months after the incident, Senator hosted a conference on Earth. Representatives from 15 different species attended. All of them had been helped by human intervention. All of them wanted to formalize their relationships with Earth. Stood before them in the same chamber wherein had spoken months ago. Friends, Earth does not seek to rule you. We do not want your resources or your territory. We want only one thing, peace. But we have learned that peace is not the absence of conflict. Peace is the presence of justice, and justice requires strength. A delegate from the Union stood. His name was N, and he had lost his family to slavers before Earth arrived. Senator, my people owe you everything, but we wonder what happens if Earth cannot respond. You are one species. The galaxy is vast. That is why we are here, replied. We are proposing a mutual defense network. Species who join agree to help each other. Earth will provide training, technology, and military support. In return, we ask only that you stand with us when others need help. Another delegate asked, what if we cannot contribute military force? Then contribute what you can: medical aid, engineering support, food and supplies, intelligence. Every civilization has something to offer. Together, we can create a galaxy where calling for help actually means something. The conference lasted 3 days. By the end, 12 species had signed on to Earth's mutual defense network. More were considering it. On the Coalition station, Grand Arbiter has watched the conference results with resignation. They are building exactly what we failed to build, a coalition that actually acts. His aide asked, should we oppose them? On what grounds? That they are too effective, that they save too many lives. No, we cannot oppose them, we can only adapt. What does that mean? Is made a decision. It means the coalition joins them. If we cannot beat Earth's approach, we should support it. Schedule a meeting with Senator. Tell him the coalition wishes to discuss partnership. 6 months later, the galaxy was a different place. Piracy had dropped by 70%. Slaver raids had nearly stopped. Small civilizations no longer lived in fear, and Earth's fleet patrolled trade routes, always ready to respond. Admiral stood on the bridge of the Retribution, reviewing patrol schedules with his staff. The ship had just returned from another successful mission. A colony world had been saved from raiders. 0 civilian casualties. Another routine day. Admiral, his communications officer called. We have a distress signal. The collective is under attack. Did not even look up from his reports. Distance. 4 light years, sir. Alert status. They have maybe 6 hours before defenses fail. We can be there in 3, set course, inform the fleet, let them know Earth is coming. As the retribution jumped to faster than light, allowed himself a small smile. 6 months ago, they had sent a desperate call into space, not knowing if anyone would answer. They had changed everything with that one call. Now, when anyone in this region of space called for help, they knew Earth would answer, with overwhelming force, with precision, with warriors who fought for justice rather than profit. The galaxy had learned that humanity was not just another species seeking power. Humans were protectors, guardians, the ones who showed up when you needed them most. Captain stood beside, looking at the stars streaking past. "Do you think we can keep this up, sir?" Responding to every call. "We have to," replied. "Because if we do not, who will? We set a standard when we save now we have to live up to it." "That is a heavy burden." "Yes, but it is a worthy one." Far away, on the home world, Ambassador stood at the memorial for those who died during the attacks. He did this every evening now, speaking to his nephew's name carved in stone. "We are safe now," he said quietly. "Earth watches over us. Other species are joining the network. The galaxy is changing. It is becoming what you always hoped it would be, a place where the strong protect the weak, where calls for help are answered, where peace means something." He placed a flower at the base of the memorial and looked up at the stars. Somewhere up there, human ships were racing to answer another distress call. Warriors with kind eyes and gentle hands. Killers who hated killing but did it when necessary to save innocent lives. "Thank you," he whispered to the stars. "Thank you for answering when we called." In the vast darkness of space, the EFS Retribution and her battle group dropped out of faster-than-light near the system. Sensors immediately located the hostile vessels. Weapons powered up. Shields activated. Marines stood ready. And Admiral Jake, representative of humanity's promise to protect the innocent, gave the order that was becoming famous across the galaxy. "All ships, engage the enemy. Let them learn what happens when they threaten those under Earth's protection." The battle lasted 2 hours. Earth forces took no casualties. The raiders were destroyed or captured. Lives were saved. And across the galaxy, another species learned what humanity had become. Not conquerors, not invaders, but guardians who answered when you called. This desperate message had changed everything. Earth had responded with overwhelming force and compassion. Now the galaxy would never be the same. And somewhere in the darkness, another civilization in trouble was about to learn the most important lesson. When you call for help, when you truly need it, there is a species that will answer. Humanity. And they bring everything.